honestly, I wouldn't mind at this point if Caitlyn just started her villain arc. She needs to start putting her foot down because this, like, some of this stuff is getting a little wild. She comes into the WNBA, her biggest life dream to play professional basketball. She comes into the WNBA. She gets a special whistle the opposite way because she's getting fouled and flagrant fouled, and just the defense that they're playing on her is actually insane. Yet despite all that, has an incredible rookie season. And then on top of that, people are using her name for their hidden agendas on both sides. People are just using Caitlyn's name. And then if she says something, it's not enough. If she doesn't say anything, she never wants to speak out about anything. She cannot win.
She cannot win. That's what everyone keeps saying about Caitlin Clark. And you know what? They're absolutely right. Because no matter what she does, someone's ready to tear her down. Stay silent. She's complicit. Speak up. She's causing drama. But here's what nobody saw coming. After months of carefully avoiding controversy, Caitlin Clark just broke her silence in the most powerful way possible. And her target? Commissioner Cathy Engelbert herself. What we're witnessing right now isn't just another WNBA controversy. This is the moment the league's entire power structure got flipped upside down. The face of women's basketball just drew a line in the sand. And on the other side of that line stands the commissioner, who's been using her name to sell tickets while the league burns around them. Many of you have been saying for weeks that something had to give. Well, it just did. If you believe the story behind the story matters, if you think the truth about what's happening inside the WNBA deserves to be told, hit that like button right now. It tells us we're digging in the right direction, because what I'm about to show you goes way deeper than any headline could capture. Let's filter out the noise and connect the dots, because this story starts long before Caitlyn said a single word. It starts with Nafisa Collier, a 6-minute exit interview, and one explosive claim that set the entire basketball world on fire. The WNBA Finals just wrapped up. Viewers expected post-game analysis, player celebrations, maybe some championship ring talk. Instead, they got a political earthquake. Nafisa Collier, who isn't just any player but the WNBA Players Association vice president, sat down for what should have been a routine interview. What came out of her mouth shocked everyone. She claimed that during a private conversation, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert told her something unbelievable. According to Collier, Engelbert said that Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the WNBA platform because without it, she wouldn't have all those endorsement deals. Let that sink in. The commissioner of the league allegedly suggesting that the player who just brought tens of millions of new fans, who carried the entire season's momentum on her back, who became the most marketable athlete in women's basketball history, should be grateful to the league. The reaction was instant and volcanic. Social media erupted. Fans were outraged. Players started posting fire emojis and cryptic messages. The timing couldn't have been worse for the league either. Right in the middle of the finals, instead of celebrating the sport's biggest stage, everyone was talking about whether the commissioner just disrespected the face of women's basketball. But here's where things get really interesting. Cathy Engelbert didn't just let it slide. She couldn't, because Nafisa Collier isn't some random player venting frustration. She's a union leader who represents every single woman in that league. She's directly involved in negotiating the collective bargaining agreement, player salaries, travel conditions, maternity benefits, the entire future of the WNBA. When someone with that much authority publicly calls out the commissioner, it's not gossip, it's a declaration of war. So Engelbert did what anyone in damage control mode would do. She held a press conference right before Game 1 of the finals. And what she said there changed everything.
You were disheartened by the characterization of your conversation with Nafisa Collier. Just again, seeking clarity. Did you in fact say that Caitlin Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything? And do you actually feel that way, that without this platform, players like Caitlin Clark wouldn't be making what they do off the court?
Yeah, obviously I did not make those comments. Caitlin has been a transformational player in this league. She's been a great representative of the game. She's brought in tens of millions of new fans to the game. Proud of what she's put on the court. Unfortunately, the injuries held her back from a full season this year. But again, I'm not going to get into every point, counterpoint. It's not productive here. We're here to celebrate the WNBA finals. I think what Indiana just did was amazing with all the injuries they had and the everything they faced this year, bringing that to a Game 5 in overtime. But yeah, as I said, there's a lot of inaccuracies reported out there, and I certainly did not say that.
Did you catch that? Engelbert didn't just deny saying those words. She called the entire report inaccurate. In plain terms, standing at that podium with cameras rolling and reporters watching, the commissioner basically called Nafisa Collier a liar on national television. Think about what just happened there. This wasn't a misunderstanding that could be smoothed over with PR talk. This was the leader of the league publicly contradicting the vice president of the players' union. The trust between labor and management, already fragile, just shattered into a million pieces. And you were onto something when you noticed how calculated Engelbert's response was. She praised Caitlin Clark, called her transformational, talked about the millions of new fans. But notice what she didn't do. She didn't address why Nafisa Collier would make such a specific claim in the first place. She didn't explain what the conversation actually was about. She just denied it and moved on. That's when players started speaking out. Not with official statements, but with the kind of frustrated commentary that tells you everything you need to know about how they really feel.
And at the end of the day, she's worried about her. In all of her statements, it's all like, well, I got us here and I should. Cathy, no one cares. Literally, no one cares. Like how you're sitting right there, that's how we feel every time she speaks. Every time she speaks, us as players, that's how we feel.
No one cares. That's what matters here. The players don't care about Engelbert's version of events. They don't care about her explanations or her carefully worded press conferences. And that disconnect between what leadership thinks players want and what players actually need has been building for years. But the commissioner's denial created a new problem, because now someone had to choose sides. Was Nafisa Collier telling the truth, or was she misrepresenting a private conversation? And more importantly, where did Caitlin Clark stand? For months, Clark had been the picture of professionalism. She deflected controversy, focused on basketball, and refused to get dragged into league politics, even when she was getting hammered with flagrant fouls that went uncalled, even when other players made comments about her privilege, even when her name was being used by both sides for their own agendas. She stayed quiet. But silence has limits. And when reporters finally asked Caitlin Clark directly about Nafisa Collier's comments, everything changed.
First of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And, I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. This league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think Fee said it all with what she said, and I think the points she made were very.
And just like that, the entire room went silent. With one carefully chosen sentence, Caitlin Clark just shifted the entire power dynamic of the WNBA. She didn't hedge. She didn't play both sides. She said Nafisa Collier made valid points, period. That's not a diplomatic non-answer. That's the biggest star in women's basketball publicly siding with a union leader over the commissioner. That's Caitlin Clark drawing a line and making it crystal clear which side she's on. And if you've been following this league closely, you know exactly why this matters so much. Before we go further, drop a comment right now. Do you think Commissioner Engelbert can survive this? Because connecting the dots reveals something massive happening behind the scenes, and I want to hear what you're seeing too. Here's what makes Clark's statement so devastating. This is the same player the WNBA has used to sell everything. Every promotional video, every sponsorship pitch, every ratings boost. The Caitlin Clark effect is what brought mainstream attention to this league. Networks paid more money because of her. Attendance records shattered because of her. Merchandise flew off shelves because of her. And how did the league repay that? By letting her get hammered on the court with minimal protection. You remember the footage. Clark getting shoved, elbowed, undercut. Fouls that would have been flagrant on any NBA court barely drew a whistle in the WNBA. The refs called it physical play. The league called it letting them play. But if those same hits happened to LeBron or Steph Curry, we'd see technical fouls and suspensions. So when the commissioner had the perfect opportunity to show she valued player safety and player contributions, but instead allegedly used Caitlin's name to lecture another player about gratitude, that's when something broke. And you can hear it in Clark's voice when she talks about needing great leadership across all levels. She's not just commenting on the Collier situation. She's calling out systemic failure, because this is the most important moment in the league's history. Her words, and the people in charge are fumbling it spectacularly. Reading between the lines of what Clark said reveals the real crisis. The WNBA is sitting on a golden opportunity. After 25 years of fighting for attention, they finally have it. Mainstream audiences are watching. Sponsors are interested. Young girls are buying jerseys. This should be the victory lap moment. Instead, the finals coverage got hijacked by internal warfare between the commissioner and the union. Instead of highlights and championship celebrations, we're analyzing whether the league's leadership has completely lost the locker room. That's organizational dysfunction at the highest level, and the fans can see it. Social media has absolutely erupted. Threads calling to fire Cathy Engelbert are getting thousands of comments. Memes comparing her to the "This Is Fine" dog sitting in a burning room are going viral. It's brutal. It's everywhere. And it's a PR nightmare the WNBA cannot meme its way out of. Here's what's really remarkable, though. For once, both sides of the usual WNBA arguments actually agree on something. Clark's supporters and her critics, the people who debate every single detail on social media, they're all united in one take. This leadership situation is embarrassing. When you've managed to unite the internet's most divided fan base against you, that tells you everything about how badly this has been handled. The disconnect between what the commissioner thinks is happening and what's actually happening couldn't be more obvious. Because Cathy Engelbert keeps stepping to the podium with the same recycled talking points. We're listening. We value our players. We're working toward unity. It's corporate filler that nobody believes anymore. Meanwhile, players are canceling meetings with her. The union vice president is making explosive claims on television, and the face of the league just publicly sided against the commissioner. That's not a communications problem that can be fixed with better press conferences. That's a leadership crisis, and the timing makes everything worse. The WNBA is right in the middle of negotiating its next collective bargaining agreement. This is the deal that determines player salaries, season length, travel conditions, benefits, everything that actually matters to the women who play this game. If these negotiations collapse, we're looking at a potential lockout, no season, no games, no paychecks, a complete shutdown of the league during what should be its golden age, not because of lack of talent or fan interest, but because of leadership failure at the very top. Multiple sources are whispering about how tense those CBA talks have become. The players want guaranteed contracts, better travel accommodations, improved maternity benefits, reasonable requests for a league that's finally seeing real revenue growth. But if there's no trust between the union and the commissioner, how do those negotiations even work? You can't bargain in good faith when one side just called the other a liar on national television. You can't build partnership when players are openly mocking leadership. And you definitely can't ask athletes to take team-friendly deals when they don't believe the person across the table has their best interests at heart. The business implications are staggering. Sponsors are watching this chaos and getting nervous. TV networks are asking uncomfortable questions. If the WNBA was any other entertainment property, investors would be demanding answers. Not about player drama, but about organizational competence. The WNBA community is buzzing about whether NBA Commissioner Adam Silver might need to step in. After all, the WNBA still operates under the NBA's umbrella. And if the Women's League implodes during its biggest growth period because of a leadership crisis that reflects badly on the entire organization, if Silver forces a change at the top, if Cathy Engelbert gets replaced, that would be the biggest shakeup in WNBA history. And honestly, many of you have been saying for weeks that maybe it needs to happen. Because whether you side with Nafisa Collier or not, the fact that so many players feel dismissed and disrespected tells you everything about the current state of leadership. This isn't about one quote or one controversy. It's about years of players feeling like their concerns don't matter. Caitlin Clark didn't create this storm, but her response has forced everyone to see it clearly for the first time. When the biggest star in your league stops trusting leadership, when she publicly aligns with union critics of management, when she uses phrases like, "We need great leadership in this time," that's not subtle. That's Caitlin Clark using her platform to demand change. And she has that power now. The WNBA made her the centerpiece of everything. Every commercial, every highlight package, every growth story runs through her. They built their entire brand around Caitlin Clark. And now that the narrative is spiraling, they're acting shocked that she has influence. But here's what they forgot. When you make one player the face of your entire league, you also give her the power to shape how the public sees you. And right now, Caitlin Clark is wielding that power quietly but decisively. She's done playing nice. She's done letting her name get used for other people's agendas. And she's making it clear that empty words from leadership won't cut it anymore. So if you want to see how this power struggle plays out, if you want to know whether the WNBA can survive its own success, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over. The CBA negotiations are still happening, the leadership questions aren't going away, and Caitlin Clark just made it clear she's not backing down. The WNBA is at a crossroads. One path leads to the golden age everyone's been waiting for. The other leads to organizational chaos that could derail everything. And the woman who holds the most influence over which direction this goes just picked her side. We'll be tracking every development because you deserve to know what's really happening behind the scenes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.